All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. See how calm that was? It's brand new me. Thank you for coming back to the Run Home podcast. I am your host, Zubaz, and today I have a very special guest, and I'll explain more in a second. His name is Marsupial 311, which might have something to do with the band, but we'll find that out in a second. Marsupial, thanks for being here. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I know you had this whole internet thing for months, and I think I single-handedly killed the podcast for a while, so I'm excited that I'm still going to get to be on.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate your patience. It was like the single, I pride myself on being a professional, and me trying to get my internet to work while you were so patiently waiting was maybe the most embarrassing thing in my life. I was throwing cords around, I was resetting things, and you couldn't even tell because I was just frozen the whole time. But
Yep.
that's I moved out to a ranch, and that's why I have all my Texas flags up, because if you do that, they don't kick you out when Texas secedes from the Union. So that's why I just want to get my bona fides up on the wall. But thank you to Elon Musk as well, because he's the reason we get to do this now, because Starlink went live in Central Texas. So
awesome. Yeah, it's much better than hearing broken up expletives and wondering what was happening.
Yeah, that was terrible. And that was like the first or second day I actually stayed overnight here. So I didn't realize how bad it was until I tried to do something live. And then as you can imagine, we were talking a little bit before we started about working from home. And the other thing that scared me so much is I realized the next day I had to work and I wasn't going to be able to do anything from home. So I actually started going into work every day for the first time since COVID started, up until like last month when Starlink became viable here.
Awesome.
So
yeah, going to work. That's
so
2019.
It's so 2019. It's I was saying it before too, but I used to travel a lot. And I can't tell you how much I traveled just to look somebody in the eye and shake their hand. And how that seemed logical at the time. And now it seems like the craziest thing to spend hours and hours in airports and planes just to shake somebody's hand.
Yeah, it's crazy, like how much things have changed the past 2 years with being able. I work the team that I work with, none of them, I live in Las Vegas, and none of them live like on this side of the Mississippi, and it's still like seamless. So
though, like other than the occasional figuring out a time zone thing, it's pretty easy, right?
The time zone thing is a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, and you live in Vegas. That was something that you told me when we were getting ready for the first one. And back when I used to drink, I loved Vegas. And then once I stopped drinking, I didn't like it as much. But the thing is one of the things I know about Vegas is Vegas is one thing to everybody that doesn't live there, and something totally different to every. Can you explain that difference real quick? I think people would like to hear it.
It's kind of similar. So I grew up in upstate New York. So like whenever you tell people you're from New York, like they all assume that you live in the city and you have to kind of break their heart. And it's very similar when you live in Vegas. You tell people, oh, I live in Vegas. And they're like, oh, like you must go party on the Strip all the time. I'm like, no, I live 20 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. I never go there because it's way too expensive and they make you pay for parking. And I go to like the good restaurants that you tourists don't know about. But yeah, I'm like 20 minutes from the Strip. So when people come into town to see me, like I have, the casinos to take them to and things like that. But other than that, like I'm pretty much just living in like a regular city.
How long have you lived there?
Since 2010.
Oh yeah, so you've been there a long time. I mean, for a while, on it was going to do this deal with, the Downtown Grand Hotel. And we were going to do a deal there where we were going to do a block of rooms and make their fitness center, all this stuff. But I was going to Vegas a lot, and one of the things, like I just could not believe how hot it was there.
Yeah.
And like I'm in Texas, so I mean, it's hot here,
Yeah.
but in Vegas, it's a different level. It's like 120 degrees on the pavement.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun marsupial fact. My bachelor party was at the downtown Grand.
Oh, wow.
That's where we started. It went all downtown. But yeah, yeah, I've gotten to the point my parents were just out and it had rained a bunch and it was down to like the 90s and they were like, "Oh, it's so hot here." And I was like, when I go out, like at night, like if it's 105 at night, but the sun's not out, I'm just like, all right, like I'm good. Like it's not that bad.
Yep.
So, as long
75
as you stay out
degrees.
of the
You're
sun.
wearing a big puffy coat.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I get a sweatshirt when it gets down into the 80s. I'm just like, oh,
Oh my God, that's funny. So, okay, so you mentioned marsupial facts. So I said at the beginning, is 311 for the band or is it 311 and it's for the suicide hotline or what is 311?
I made the username Marsupial311 when I was a freshman in high school, and I just kept using it everywhere. Um, and then I kind of grew older, and I don't listen to the band 311 as much, but like I'm just Marsupial311 like in so many different places that I just kept it going. But um, yeah, it was loosely based on a really weird it's before YouTube because this was like the late 90s. So a real early 2000. So like a really weird like internet video that was like pushed around between people and like there was some joke in it that I can't even remember, but I just remember how he said marsupial and it cracked me up. And so like I was making my AOL Instant Messenger and I was like, I need a screen name. And I was like, Marsupial. And I'm a freshman in high school who loves 311. So that
Wow.
was that was the whole thing. So I've had that username. I'm all over the place using that for anything that I do gaming. And it's just
And you're
kind of
not
been my
Australian.
trademark. I'm not Australian. I've never been. I want to go before the pandemic we were looking at it, but I've never been. But yeah,
I don't,
that's another marsupial myth is that I am Australian.
and it is a very commonly held myth.
Yes.
I don't know if we've even been in a league together, at least for a not an extended period of time. I don't
I
think
don't
we're in one.
believe so.
No, I don't think so. But I don't know if you remember this. I do know that you've been around for a long time though, because I don't know if it was like 2007, 2008 timeframe, but I went down the full uh Australian joke, prisoner colony, Vegemite, this is a knife. I did the whole thing in some forum, and then you just followed it up by saying, "I'm not Australian." It's like, oh damn, that would have been good. Uh, right? Because I feel like were you in the Dirty Dozens or Baseball Union or one of those?
I think the Dirty Dozens for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2000. I started in 2005 and had a I was pretty deep into the game until probably 2009. Around that time. Yeah, so and then I left kind of in 2009 until Mentor League, right? I was when I got back into the league, I was looking for something to do because I was awake all the time because my first child had been born.
Mm.
And I was like, wait, what's going on with CSFBL? And then I kind of looked and then I saw I looked at of course, I did the first thing you do when you pick it back up. I looked at like my players. I was like, are they still here? Are my leagues still alive? And
Yeah.
I found some of them and I could remember like, oh, I remember where I was when I drafted them. I remember where I was when I read their first perfect game. Like
It's crazy how
uh
you can get that emotional attachment to a 100% text-based player card.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely players. A Psi Sigma was the first like private league that I was in, and there are like players from that where I'll still like go in and I'll just be like, where is he on like the team leaderboard still? Is he still top 5 all time, or has 100 more seasons made him a little less impressive?
Yeah, what's crazy is the one of the second league I was ever in was the Classic League, and I had a creation, we all created our team, and I had a guy named Kendall Ford that to this day I go back and click on him. And actually I think he still holds my record for at bats, because no matter how bad he got, I just would not take him out of the lineup. And so he played
Absolutely.
like 17 seasons or something like that.
Yeah. I'm huge into, I think like for me, like individual accolades are always like more, like I care more about them than like actual team success. Like if I've got a guy at like, 394 wins and he's 43 and he hung on for that
Gotta
last
keep
year, like
going.
I'm getting him there. Like I'm
If he
doing it.
showed up, for spring training, we're getting him to 300
Exactly. We're
wins or
getting him there.
3,000
Yeah.
hits.
It's if you if you're like, I don't know if I could do anything with this veteran and I have like a team that I'm like rebuilding, I'll be like, listen, if he's like close enough to make a milestone, like I'll play him until it happens.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
get the ticket sales from that 3,000 hit game.
I'm into it. My favorite Major League Baseball player is Robin Yount, and he got to 3,000 hits. And when he did, and this was, I don't know if it was pre-internet, but it was pretty darn close. But I framed the newspaper. I bought the special edition card set. I got like anything I could get of that, because that was like so special. It was like emblematic of the other 2,999 hits.
Yep.
Absolutely. Are you a Mets fan then?
Yankees fan.
Okay, yeah, Yankees fan. You have a team in Dynasty. I'm going to come back to Dynasty because I want to talk about that a little bit more. But you are the Yankees in Dynasty, which if you're going to be a team in Dynasty, it almost has to be the Yankees, right? Because they are.
Yeah.
I even got my ultimate rivalry ball here. Boston.
Nice.
I come to every podcast with a prop, and that's the one I brought for you.
Awesome.
Yep. And
I can tell you a story about the 2004 World Series I had. So this was my freshman year of college, was 2004.
The Red Sox Cardinals World Series.
Yeah. So that was the guy, my roommate was a huge Boston fan, and that was the below the 3-0 year.
Yep.
And he was like across campus watching the game, and he just yelled his way across campus. He was the only one that cared because we were in New York. And then he busted down my door and he was like, "We're going to game 1." And I was like, yeah, we're going. So I went to game 1, my first World Series game. He made it happen. He lived in Boston, and I got him on Facebook still. So, and that game was crazy. It was like they blew them out.
And the crowd was going freaking.
It was insanity. Yeah, it was crazy there. Like we got there like super early. It was so crowded around the stadium. Like that was, and I have a Boston hat that I have to hide.
But you had to wear there, or you're gonna get your ass.
I had to wear it there. Yeah. I remember they had street reporters out there, and he pulled me and he was like, "You can't say anything good about the Yankees. Like you have to So I just did the whole little, I'm just excited to be here. It's just so unbelievable that I'm here.
You're just saying things that are still honest, but not like pro Boston. Yeah,
exactly. I never expected I'd be here.
So I gotta run through that for a second without derailing the whole podcast. But I remember when Boston came back and won, it had that same feeling as when in 1980 the Americans beat the Soviets in Olympic hockey, and then they still had to play Finland, but everybody going into that was team of destiny. They just have to win. And then what felt like happened is there was this nervous anxiety in Boston when they went to go play St. Louis, and then when they started just racking up runs, this it let loose, because they were like, we really are the team of destiny.
Yeah, it was insane. I being there made me kind of not as bitter as I probably would have been if I was watching it on TV because
Yeah.
like the energy is just so infectious. But yeah, it was definitely crazy for my first World Series game that it was there, considering how many World Series I had watched through middle and high school that I thought I'd be at eventually.
That's such a good story, though. That's a
Yeah.
good. You're a good friend, too. By
Yeah.
the
Oh,
way,
well,
I mean, you're. I guess
I
you're going to the
mean,
World Series, but
yeah,
still,
I really couldn't say like if if I had offered him Yankee tickets to the World Series, he probably would, and if that had happened like in the reverse, like he probably would have said yes too, because like how can you not go to the World Series? Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I'm a Brewers fan, and so if I like going to a Cubs World Series, I that would still like bum me out
yeah.
to an extreme.
Mhm.
But yes, once
But if you
the
were there, if you were there, like if you were 2 hours like from the stadium and you were like, we can like do this like over the weekend, because the first game was on a Saturday too. Like it was so
it
perfect.
was perfect.
Like
I bet the city was crazy
yeah.
too.
Yeah. He
Whew.
had friends that were staying at Northeastern or that were living or going to school, whatever they do at Northeastern. What do they do there? School something? He had friends staying there, so we slept on the floor there. Like we didn't all we had to pay was gas and the tickets. Like, what a deal.
That is a deal. Um, so since we started talking about dynasty in New York Yankees, let's just start there because
Go for it.
the you have not shied away from leagues that are more complex rule sets than
Mhm.
others. And
For
Dynasty
sure.
is emblematic of that, despite the fact that if King Rat was here right now, he would go off about how it's not that difficult and it's
Yep.
just you just need 2 minutes a day or whatever.
It's
But
just a league we love and you can and anyone can do it. Yep.
yep. And but is that what drew you to Dynasty? Because we'll talk about College World Series, which is an interesting league that you
Yep.
run. But is that why you went to Dynasty? Because it was a different way to play CSFBL?
That's yeah, that's always what's drawn me is like and I think like King Rat is like so great with ideas. Like I think
He's
he's
a
a
genius.
brilliant idea guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's not enough like great things I can say about like his ideas and like how he just like he pushes the limits of the game in such an interesting way. And like when he put together Dynasty, I was kind of like I was a little burnt out with like doing like I was running another league and I was like doing the draft and I was like, I hate the draft so much. I hate
Me
like doing it
too.
on the forums and like I hate PMing people and figuring out auto picks. And so I was kind of like pulling back from most of my non-CWS stuff. And he had the college side, which is what I started on. I did Arizona State for a few seasons, and I was just like, yeah, like I still like I love the college recruiting, so I'll try it out. So I was in there for a little bit, and then once a team in MLB came open, I was like, yeah, I want to do like the move from college to like to the pros move and see how that goes. And so yeah, I've been there. I don't know if I missed the first season, if I was
Been
there
there
all
a
the
long
season.
time for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing the recruiting and I really enjoyed like how Dynasty like just the being able to draft players like based on the stats that you see, like I thought that was really cool. I definitely learned it slower than some other people and kind of struggled, but I felt like I started to get a really good handle on it the last season or so, and I was trending in the right direction. But yeah, it's leagues like that like always interest me. Like anything where it's just like there's that little extra like nuance there where it's just like you're kind of like you need something more. You need to put in like a little more time to kind of figure out like what you need to do and how to be successful. Like those always have the draw for me.
I, I said this to King Brad. I don't know if he believes me or not, but I was being 100% sincere that he was partially my inspiration to get more involved with CSFBL because I was convinced that we could do something that no one's ever done in baseball sims, and that's make a whole host of things optional so you could play the game however you wanted. And
Yeah.
another part of it was there's a variety of ways you can play fantasy football. Despite the football games being the same, you can have guillotine leagues where the last team's getting cut off. You could have qualifier leagues, rotisserie leagues. You could have weekly pick'ems, whatever it is. But it's the same football on the field. And so I was like, if we did that for a baseball sim and just gave all the power to the league, it would be the greatest thing in the world. And unfortunately, though, as we were doing this last update before we get the rewrite done, where Brian was cleaning out all the legacy code, all the broken shit, which there was a lot. In some ways, and I guess I didn't realize this until he sent it to me, but we effectively broke part of Dynasty, or at least an important part of it. Just so that I can hear it from somebody that's in the league, what did break as part of the update, or what doesn't work as well anymore?
So the way that the league wanted to keep it was that the scouting, whenever you scouted a player initially, that's how it would stay that way. So it would stay at that
Oh,
level.
it was like day one scouting.
Yeah. So, and I thought like that was a really cool, like there were nuances with zero scouting, like where you could kind of tell like how things were changing a little bit, which was the best system for creating the league, like the way that King Rat wanted it. But I think like if you got like, here's a day one scout, like for me, it would be cool. Like, and this is like me kind of talking myself, but like for me, like a league where like you saw day one scouting potentials and that was it, like I'd be very interested in that, where I just saw like here's their potential, where are they right now, like get them in the game and figure it out. But I think what they're looking for in Dynasty is with the actuals, and they can King Rat and Clayton Kershaw are more in tune with exactly what they want. I think they want like actuals, and like they want the actuals and potentials to be here's what we got on day one, and then they never change, which again I also think is a pretty cool like idea, where it's just like here's what you got when they came out, and now you got to look at the stats and see here's how they turned out.
Yeah. So he sent me a letter over the weekend, and
I'm on that
so
letter.
yeah, no, I saw your comment on it. That's why I was glad that it was timely that you were coming on. And
Yeah.
so obviously, there's a million different requests coming in from different places, but this is one I want to figure out, because like I feel like this is a good opportunity for me to put my mouth where my money is, as opposed to the opposite, and actually, make this a players focused game. I'm trying to get everything pushed towards the rewrite, but I think this one feels a little bit different to me, and I want to try to find a way to fix it sooner rather than later, because ultimately it's easy for me to say eventually everything will have a knob, but that's not a good enough answer for a league that might be one of the most innovative leagues we have, and is genuinely one of the inspirations to make this a button pushing, knob turning game. So I guess I'm putting it out there now that we'll try and find a way to fix it as soon as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I will. King Rat will be thrilled. I think he will find other ways to kind of push the limits of the game, no matter what you do.
For sure, and push the limits of my patience.
Yes.
I'm just kidding you, man. I love you wherever you are.
I think Slick and Clayton Kershaw are both tired of me pushing their buttons too, if we're talking about people whose buttons get pressed. So
Yeah.
I definitely sometimes do push King Rat's buttons too, and but I do think like he's brilliant. Like I think like, and I told him this like when all the changes came, I was just like, you're gonna find like, if you want to do it, like you're gonna find something that you can do that's like innovative and awesome and like really creative. You always find a way to like push things in a way that like I don't think any of us are gonna see. Like I think if he comes back and he's like, I have this idea, and he like just rolls with it, like we're gonna be like, we didn't even think that was possible with what we had built.
Someday I'm going to get him to work for CSFBL as just like the innovation manager.
Yeah.
And just figure out how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So Okay, so let's move to College World Series. Couple
All
things
right.
about College World Series. First is uh, it's near and dear to my heart because it's
Mhm.
Texas Longhorns, and I'm right
Yes.
here in Central Texas.
Yes.
Number two is that you effectively run that league. I know there's a couple other
Yep.
commissioners, but you're an OG there. Did you start
I,
that league as well?
I did not start that league. I was not playing when it started. It was gosh, I'm trying to remember the
27
timeline.
seasons I'm
We
seeing up on the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Willie was one of
Oh
King
yeah.
Rat and Willie like put it together early.
Oh, that's right.
Miraku,
That was a King Rat League
yep,
initially. Yeah, that's
yep.
right. Damn, he's good.
Yeah, he is. He's so smart.
Yep.
Miraku took it over for a little while. Well, actually a long while, I think. I think he had it for years before I even came back.
Talk about hating the draft. I don't know
Yeah.
how he did it, but he was in a bunch of leagues, running a bunch of drafts at one time,
Mhm.
and like I feel like we owe him some thank you
Yeah.
in arrears because like he saved a couple leagues just because no one would
Yeah.
do the draft. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he got kind of to, like, the end of his activity, I had been in College World Series, it was what, the '77 or the '78 season, and I started doing
Yeah.
recruiting in the '82 season, so I wasn't there very long before I kind of, like he was kind of like, "Listen, I just don't have time for it, like, I need somebody to take it over," and I was just like, "I know Excel, and I can learn, how to do this." And then I still have like all the results on my computer, and the ones from 1982, I screwed it up really badly. I cannot reopen it. Like it is horrible. Like I don't know. It's like 100 times the size of every other spreadsheet that I have. So I don't know what I did to break it, but I
Oh, you
I
literally
almost
broke the
yeah, yeah.
spreadsheet. Okay,
I
that's tough.
literally broke it. So I had to get them back. Andrelton Simmons sent it to me. So I went back to his email and I was like, I'm gonna grab the originals and I'm gonna try again for 1983. But I remember like my computer would took like I was like, there's no way that like my computer needs like 2 hours to process a spreadsheet. Like I clearly broke something.
Well, didn't I? Clone was telling me that one of the reasons that you left the game for a period of time is because you did fry one of your laptops. Is that true? And was it the spreadsheet that caused it?
It was not the spreadsheet. So back in '05 when I started, I don't know what was going on. Like when I was in college, I would go through a laptop every like 2 years. And I didn't have like a phone. I didn't have any other way. So like my laptop would fry and then it would just be like all my teams would drop because I would, wait a while to get another one and then,
You're getting
I would
booted.
eventually,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd get auto booted and then I'd come back and I'd try to play again and then a laptop would fry. So yeah, I kind of kept going in and out with computers breaking on me. And now that I've got a phone and a reasonably secure job, I haven't had that issue for a while. So
That's good. Wait, and College World Series, because that is like that was like one of the first really innovative leagues, and you guys have an interesting structure. And I saw that you have a couple openings there. I figured you should uh, uh, put the flyer out to anybody that's watching this on why they should join College World Series because it is an interesting league. You want to give it some hype?
yeah, absolutely. We are actually just about to start the 2000. Oh no, I'm on the spot. 2003 or 2004? The 2004 season.
2004, yeah.
2004 is going to be the first year under the new letter grades potentials that we do recruiting. We had started recruiting before the update, so it's going to be. So if you are nervous about not knowing what you're doing, everybody doesn't know what they're doing now because we all are going to do this for the first time with letters. So it's going to be pretty interesting. We've got Andrelton Simmons' team has been unowned for like 4 seasons and it's still winning 100 games a year, and we
Yeah,
don't know why.
I
Like
was going to ask you about that team. Like, what a crazy
you
thing. Yeah.
USC, like, I don't know, like we just can't stop them. Like they just
Yeah,
keep
it's
winning.
like Pete what was his name? The football coach? Pete
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, yeah, is
Yeah.
there, and it's just like, yeah, he's just
It's
running
it's just
it's
yeah.
crazy. This team is nuts.
Yeah, they and like
Somebody needs to
they're
take this team. Somebody
yeah.
listening to this needs to take this team.
Yeah, they keep winning, like, even, like, it's doing the auto recruiting, and they just seem to always, like they're in a division with another team doing auto recruiting, so those 2 are fighting over the same recruits, and USC gets the good ones every time, and I don't know if it's, like I don't know if AS built that into the spreadsheet or what happened there. We we had a running joke too about, Texas A&M, that Miroku, like, set up the spreadsheet so that all the elite pitching recruits would go there because it seemed like no matter what we did, like, no matter who recruited them, they were like, if it was a great pitching recruit, they were gonna go there.
Is that JPAX's team?
JPAX has them now, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no, no,
Oh no, he has Texas
he
Tech.
has
Sorry,
Texas Tech, Maroons. Maroons
Maroons.
has Texas A&M. And he's yeah, they took a sharp fall when Miracle left, and Maroons is starting to turn them around and get them in a good spot. So
And so,
um
what makes the league College World Series? Explain that part.
yeah, so we treat all the players like they are college recruits. We create some players at the beginning of the year, and then we use the players that are in the draft. No player can play past the season that they turn age 24, no matter when they started. That is their senior year. Some people can be seniors before that. But we recruit instead of doing a draft. We recruit, so everybody has a certain number of points that and a system that they can spend recruits on, and then based on how those points are spent, recruits make top 3 lists, and then from the top 3 lists they choose a school.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
cool.
it's so fun. There's no advantage for tanking. You do lose a little bit if your team is bad. We call it prestige. So the teams that are really good get a little bit of a bonus, and the teams that are not doing so well get a little bit of a penalty. But the team that won the World Series last year, they were ranked really low in the prestige rankings, and they have just been I kept doing class rankings, and I was like, they just brought in like 3 top 5 classes. Like they're gonna turn it around, and Arizona State turned it around. They won their first World Series, or maybe they won they won the very first one, and then
Yeah.
they won this one.
And I'm looking at the unowned teams. Mizzou is unowned, and they have the second highest run differential in the entire
Yep.
conference. So
Yeah.
somebody needs to get that team too.
Yep.
And then Notre Dame, finished with a winning record too. These are
Yep.
good
Yeah.
teams.
Yep, these are good teams, and even if they're not, you can turn them around so quickly. That's what I really love about it is, if you look at like the Texas Longhorns history, there was one year, I think there's like 100-win season buried in between 200 loss seasons,
Is that
which you
true?
don't,
Yeah,
which
let
you
me
don't
see.
get. I think it's way down, but
Yeah, no, you do not normally get that.
you
Something has
don't
to.
see that yet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It was 65 and 95, then 160, and then 60 and 100.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's quite a run.
So you can turn the team around in both directions very quickly.
Yep.
Um,
God, you had a
I
good season last year though, huh? 100
yeah,
win season.
yeah, we lost the division series in 5 games or 6
Five
games.
five games. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the story is, if you're looking for a league, go get College World Series. That's a good one. Yeah, because you're in. I mean, you definitely challenge yourself because I mean, you're in a league to rule them all,
Yep.
which is another interesting league, and because it's obligatory that I mention Pimp's name. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that he has something to say about that league. Uh, And but one thing I had to ask you about. So I've made 2 runs in remake from bottom to top. The first one I was the Cincinnati Reds, and now I'm the Cleveland Indians. I love being the Indians because my favorite baseball movie is Major League. I just
Of
love
course. Yeah.
everything about having the Indians. But you're in remake double A and triple A. How is that? Or
I
is
don't
this
know
a
what
temporary
happened.
thing?
I
Yeah.
think it's I don't know what happened. I was like, yeah, I'll take a double A team. And then it was still in the postseason. And then they were like, you've been chosen to go to triple A. And I was like, I haven't managed a game in double A yet, but all right.
Oh,
So
really?
so
Oh,
I went up to triple A. And then the Bees were like this insane team. Like they had an MVP who hit 211 last year, which I thought was awesome. Uh,
really?
yeah, he
Oh,
was the
okay.
league MVP and he hit 211.
Okay, we're gonna have to look
And
at that guy real
yeah.
quick. Wait, so you are the only person in remake history, or you're the quickest to advance to AAA in remake history, essentially.
Sweet. Awesome.
I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing
Setting
that's true.
records.
Let's see. Oh, these are predictions. I
Uh,
gotta look at last season.
who was it? Larry Long. Yep.
Larry Long hit
211.
211. I mean,
Yep.
he did have 58 home runs.
58 home runs. Yeah.
So Larry Long is a great name for a long
Yes.
ball hitter.
Yep. And he was the Gold Glove in left field, which is irrelevant, but
Oh, he is Makilla loves players like this where he's 94 discipline, 97 slugging, but 26
26.
K.
Yep.
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 He's just miserable.
Yep.
But strikeout, walk, or home run, nothing else happens
Yep.
with this guy.
Yep.
He
Exactly.
he literally only has averages like 100 hits a year.
Yeah. And half of them are home runs. He had 115 his MVP season, 58 were home runs. So more than half.
More than half. God, this guy's quite an anomaly. I need to bookmark this
Yeah.
guy and look
Yeah.
up more. That is a really crazy
Yeah, so I
number.
saw him and I just thought like
I'm in
I
love.
think Luke had this team before and he had not managed them last season, and they had gone far. And then I saw him and I was just like, that's the kind of guy that I want to
Yeah.
watch.
And he's young. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
26. Yeah,
yep.
so plenty of time. Yeah.
So one of the other things I knew about your history is, and we started talking about, but then we started talking about something else, is when you came back that first time, didn't you become a mentee in one of the mentor leagues?
I did. I was a mentee in the Extraordinary Prospects League. And I think I was in a mentee in a couple other leagues, but
That's
Extraordinary
awesome.
Prospects was like the first one was like they hadn't started at all yet. So I did like the whole thing. Like I learned so much from Luke was he wasn't my mentor, but he was in there.
Yep.
So I learned a lot from him. And then eventually after the 5-year mentor, me and Andy G, who I think is no longer part of the game for a while now, but we took over as the commissioners of that league and we kept it going for a little while, but it eventually died out. I still hold on to that team, the Las Vegas Koalas. I went to it was very frustrating. I went to how many World Series? 6 World Series, didn't win a single one. Uh
Yeah. And
think I
that's
lost
the
game 7 3 times.
so I wasn't going to bring that one up, but since you did,
That's I did.
that is the league that you've been in the most seasons ever, like 43
Yep.
seasons,
Yep.
0 rings,
0 rings.
but you've been in the playoffs like 44% of the time. So,
Yeah.
so you've had, I mean, that's just bad luck. That
Yeah.
really is. Like, there's no way to go to the playoffs that many times and not
Yeah.
break
It
through.
was. I remember I remember the 1987 season. I remember losing game 7. I remember I was still teaching. And I was doing an after school program and they had a break at 3. Uh, and I went and I watched the game view. And I remember watching my stud pitcher blow that game. And I remember being like, I got to teach another after school class. I don't want to.
You oh, those poor kids. You're just screaming
But
at you
I,
want another
but yeah,
detention?
yeah. I had a like a little like even when I was down in that league for a little bit, like I had a string in the early 2000s where I was like fourth, and then I built it back up. And then as the league was kind of dying, that's when I had my first 100 loss season. But yeah, I really enjoyed that league. I just had I it was really laid back. It went through so many phases.
Okay.
There was, there was the mentor phase, and then we had like new people, and then like I remember as I was going into like my first rebuild, we got like a bunch of big name people in there, and we were just like, hey, this is going to be like a laid back league, like come join us. And a bunch of like heavy hitters came in and grabbed up teams and played them for a little while, and we just had like, it was this laid back, like we have a live draft and that's about it, kind of deal,
Yeah.
which is the opposite of a lot of my
What?
stuff.
Yep.
Now I'm staring at my 110 win season where I got swept in the division series in 2008.
Wow. Yeah, you've had
Like
some
don't
tough losses
I
because
I am I build really good. Like I think it's because I go for those for the players who can build up stats. So I have really good regular season teams, and then when we get to the playoffs, I'm just like, well, I have 5 starters, and none of them are elite, but they're all like they all can win 20 games.
yeah. I mean, this game that you were referring to before, Las Vegas Koalas against the Wall Street Wolves, you should have won this series. You were up 5-4 going into the bottom of the eighth. You have
Yep.
the best pitcher in the league is on the mound, and
Yep.
then it goes walk, walk, home run out of the game, and you're down by one, and then they score another run. That's a bad beat.
Yep.
Like that just
Yeah.
yeah. And the guy that hit the home run isn't even a home run hitter. Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, no, he was.
was
Yeah,
he?
he was a banger.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a banger.
Okay. There was that I think it might have been the 1990 season where I also lost in 7 games. There was one where it was a guy who like would I think he hit a grand slam. There was one, it might have been a different league, but there was one where it was like a guy who couldn't hit home runs hit a grand slam or something, and I don't know.
This is the best part about the game though, is like you do have the agony of defeat, but when you do break through, it is just
Yeah.
exhilarating because
Yeah.
like you have I love the sim schedule of the game because it keeps you engaged all day if you want to be, but you can also set it up so you can go on vacation if you want. You come back and
Yep.
the thing's not on fire.
Yeah.
But when you get committed to a team and you start going through each sim, you start watching game views whenever you're free, and then you get to the playoffs, it gets real. Like I pause
Yeah.
the TV, I close
Mhm.
close the door, and I'm just like I set up my
This
phone
gotta
and
be
I'm
the time.
like pacing around. Yeah, it's serious. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I that first game 7 where I was like, I'm gonna get this. I got my best pitcher. I remember like pacing around being like, when this thing sims, like I'm gonna feel so great when I win.
Well,
But then in 87, of course, after I lose, I say, okay, well, I'll get there eventually. Like I got this young team, like we're really good. And like that was like every year it was just like, we're gonna get there next time. And
you were like the Cubs for a long time.
yeah,
It's like
it
we'll get them
just
next year.
yeah, it just never happened. So that's why I keep trying to like revive that league so that I can win that championship.
It's like unfinished business.
It is. I'm like, I was the last time I had checked, like I was the leader in playoff wins in the league and I had no ring. And like I think I did a forum post at one point where I was just like, here's the top teams like in, rings, and here's the top teams in playoff wins. And it's just like I'm all alone.
Yeah, because I noticed that that league is like paused, but you
Yeah.
still have a team there, so you're keeping it alive somehow.
Uh, yeah, I was trying to push to get people to want to do a dead ball. We got a little bit of interest, but then it kind of petered out, rebuilding a league and doing dead ball. But yeah, I will probably just hold that team until the end of time. Like they
I'm
are.
You got the guy that's won the most World Series in the last 36 months, Ricky Rich, in there.
Yeah,
So yeah, Tyrus
yeah,
is in there, Rams,
yeah,
Beanballer.
they were. they were yeah, Tyrus and Ricky were big parts of when we transitioned into like me being commissioner, like that 80s and 90s time. Like they were huge owners during that time. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna have to get this. We'll get College World Series filled first, but
yep,
we
yeah,
got to get this
that's
thing back and find some interesting thing to get people excited about it.
yeah, for sure.
All right, so one more thing I have to ask you about before I let you go.
All right.
Uh, what do you have against the White Stripes? I want to know, why are we raging against the White Stripes? What did they do to you?
That's a I love the White Stripes.
Oh,
Rage Against the White Stripes is a Rage Against the Machine White Stripes combo
oh, I
because
see.
my band division is 90s 2000s, and I was like, these are like, this is a good juxtaposition of two bands that I really like that are very, very different.
They are very different. That's why I thought you were like
Mad at them.
yeah, like you liked Rage Against the Machine and you're calling the White
No.
Stripes like posers or something. I was like, we got to talk about Seven
Oh,
Nation Army, because like
oh
I
my
could
God.
listen to
No,
that song every day for the rest of my
yeah,
life.
I love like anything. Those are probably my two favorite guitar players are Tom Morello from Rage and Jack White. If like if when I was like trying to learn guitar during the pandemic, I was like, what if I could make a sound that like combined them? Like it would be the most insane sound. Like obviously I don't have the skill to do that. Like I figured that out very quickly. Like I can play a couple chords. But like I was like, oh man, like if someone had that sound, like I'd be like they'd have
You'd be
all my
all in.
money. Yeah, they'd have all my
You
money.
you can play guitar? Well, I mean, I
No,
know.
no.
Well, I
I
heard
got one
three
for
chords.
Father's Day.
Okay, yeah. I
I
mean,
got one for Father's Day. I learned like the four basic ones and I could do that and like I can kind of switch between them. But yeah, I need to put in a lot more time than I do to get to play a song or anything. But I can switch between a couple chords and play like Every Rose Has Its Thorn, I think is the one
okay, yeah.
I
I was
can
gonna
do.
say there's a
Too.
couple of
Yeah,
rock bands that will remain
yeah,
nameless that got very famous on only knowing three chords.
that's true.
Um,
Uh,
I was always convinced Jack White was going to get huge.
yeah,
I just thought he was so talented, and I
yeah,
did, I mean, he did get huge, but you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I thought he was
yeah.
going to get really
I
huge.
because I follow like his other bands and stuff. I think he's just like more interested in kind of like creating the
The
music than
process,
kind of
yeah.
yeah, like doing that part and like making the unique sounds than he is with like being famous. But he acts in random stuff too. Like I saw some he was in Anchorman 2, like in the fight scene, I think. I think he
Was he?
was.
Was he?
I
Uh,
think he was.
I
Maybe
that
it's something else.
no, I think you're probably right. If you remember, uh, I'm just bringing him up quick because I mean he's done a lot of things, and I mean, uh, I thought he was Johnny Knoxville a couple times, like because he has like this really interesting look to him. Let's see,
Yeah, he had
yeah,
what was he? See, I'm thinking.
yeah, he was in,
He was in Walk Hard. That's right. The
yeah,
Dewey Cox thing.
and he was in
If you
Portlandia, which is a great
Yep.
show for
Oh
anybody.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
uh, I don't see Anchorman though,
Okay, it must have been somebody else. There was
but
some I think I got him mixed up with the Dewey Cox.
yeah.
Another movie I drink and watch and think is hilarious.
I'm looking at his filmography, and somehow he was on the reality show American Pickers at some point. So I'm not sure how those two things cross, but I don't know. Um,
He's out there living his best life.
he's living his best life. Lay
Yeah,
off, Jack
that's all.
White. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you can do. Like he was the last. Though I think the White Stripes were the last people to play on Conan O'Brien or
Oh,
David
really? That's
Letterman
cool.
or what. One of them. He was like the last. I'm
The
trying to
he
remember.
was playing them off. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I know so many random Jack White facts for some reason.
yeah, that's cool. Well, so I started this by trying to call you out to explain to you why the white stripes are good, and it turns out you love them. So we
Turns
don't,
out I know. Yeah, we don't
yeah,
have to have. We don't have to fight.
we don't have to
We can
fight
all
about
get
it. We
along.
don't have to rage
Yeah,
at all.
we're not raging.
Rage Against the Machine, on the other hand, like I like some of their stuff, but like when he was climbing the stage at the VMAs, or what was it? What show was that where he climbed to the top of the scaffolding and sat there? I was like, okay, you're a bit much.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about? What was
yeah.
that?
I don't.
Rage.
I don't. I definitely know more about Jack White than I do about Rage Against the Machine.
Um.
I will say that. Oh, look, they're on tour again.
Oh yeah.
I just looked it up.
Oh, he was protesting Limp Bizkit at the VMAs. Just because he didn't want him to play. So Rage Against the Machine's bassist
Oh yeah,
climbed the scaffolding. I mean, this was a crazy scene. What a weird thing. And that also was the time where a lot of people thought Limp Bizkit was cool, which did not age well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Did not.
did you
They
see
have
the
that new
documentary? Is that what you were gonna say?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just watched that this weekend
I
and I
did
remember
too.
being like, I really liked Limp Bizkit when I was in middle
I did
school, and I can't
too.
explain it. I can't explain it.
They were synonymous with what the 90s were. And then
Yeah.
but it just didn't age well. But at the time I remember
Yeah.
thinking, man, they got their shit together. Fred Durst is dating all
Yeah.
the hot girls, and
Yeah.
and then now you look back on it, it's like, ooh, man, we're not
Yeah.
gonna get that one back.
Yeah. Some of that music from the late 90s, the new metal. I was like, okay, that was a time.
It was all that college metal that's still there
Yeah.
today, but it got really mainstream for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. All right, we'll stop there. See, I told you I was going to
All
run
right.
long, but okay, so we're going to wrap up right there. But before I let you go, is there anything that you want to make sure you get out to all the CSFBLers everywhere?
Big shout out. I know that we talked about me being like the face of College World Series, but big shout out to JD and Mr. Hamburger for all the work that they do in that league. They keep that league going. Without them, I could not do everything that needs to be done. They do so much. They deserve so much more credit than they get for everything that they do. Yeah, can't say enough great things about those guys. They really help keep that league together. So please
Best
come
way to
join
pay them
us.
back is to go
Yep.
get a team. There's 4
Yep.
teams available, and 3 of them are looking pretty sweet. And the last
Yeah.
one, you get to be the hero by bringing it back. So
Yep.
whatever you're into.
Yep.
So
That team won a World Series within the last, wasn't that long ago they won a World Series, so you can bring them back to that. It doesn't take that long in CWS, so.
CWS, that's the league of the day. All right, everybody, thank you so much for waiting for me to get back, waiting for Starlink to get beamed down from the heavens. I'm glad to be back. And Marsupial, thank you so much for your patience, and I'm glad I got you back as a guest. To everybody else, it's time for us to run home. We are out of here. Bye.